make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
It's showtime.
Roar. Roar.
Colonel Ironsides here. 200 years I stood in the gap, fighting those who would harm my country. It was my honor, my sacred duty, so help me God. 9 times they took my life. 9 times I stood back up and made them pay. The freedom fighter and I could handle anything, but someone betrayed me. I was ambushed, made mortal, rendered powerless, and retired. They passed an amendment and made me a civilian before I left the hospital. For 50 years I watched my country change. Watched this work while erasing me from history. The day I quit my job, I powered up and discovered they lied about that too. I'll remind them of freedom. I'll remind them of duty. I'll remind them of their oaths and who they serve. I'll remind them while I'm shoving it down their throats.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I want to know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I want to know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Thursday night special show. I usually do this on Monday nights, but I didn't find anything inspiring. I haven't really found anything for weeks that really tickled my fancy. And I guess the weather kind of, I seem to have some slowdown here. Let me do an adjustment right quick. 1 second. Let me see. 1 second, guys. Let me take it down to the StreamYards will cooperate. Okay, there we go. All right. That's better. Okay. All right. Anyway, so you know, not anything's really been happening outside the world of politics, and so pop culture, we really haven't had a lot to comment on. Let's face it. January is a dead month for they don't usually things significant things don't really drop. Finally, at Star Wars, Lucasfilm Didn't really blow my hair back because we've known this is happening for 5 years now. It was just basically how much of Star Wars is, or how much of Lucasfilm is going to be left by the time she gets her claws out of it. The answer, not much. But of course, they put Dave Filonius in to replace her, and with a female minder to make sure that the Force is going to remain female. And well, his wife is going to make sure that it stays female. Let's just say that much. There might be some, inequality in that relationship. Let's just say that's the rumor. And so, Bob Iger, he's finally leaving. He's been hokey pokey for a while, get his left foot in, his left foot out, I'm going to destroy all of Disney and then I'll shake it all about. And so he just got announced that the guy who's destroying the Disney parks is the new CEO. But he has a female minder too. Dana Walden, Kamala's BFF. So if you had any hope for Disney, more of the same. But essentially, it's like a correction and lack of correction at the same time. It's like a skin deep correction, but it's like more like a sock puppet than it is a change of direction. So, not really blowing my hair back. I just didn't feel inspired to comment or have entire shows about those two situations. I really I had a show called What's Next for over a year, and I concluded it because the things that I'd been calling, that I was saying was going to happen, started happening, and so it was kind of like self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. And I was like, well, I had this show, I said this, and so it got that show kind of like invalidated itself after a while. If you call it often enough, well enough, eventually, if you're a true, I'm gonna say prophet, but if you kind of call it enough times, and the things that you're claiming were going to happen start happening, then it's pretty much you caught up with yourself in a way. And I wasn't seeing clear trends beyond what I was saying is going to happen. And today, it's not a what's next. Today, one of my predictions has come true. Okay. Now, which prediction came true? Well, over the weekend, a live streamer called Markiplier, I think, Markiplier. He's part of Just SI and some other guys. They all came out of the Disney streaming program and kind of like went out on their own and actually had success. Clownfish TV, they were part of the same class, I guess you would say. But he announced back in 2023 that he was going to use his own funds to adapt one of his favorite video games. And the video game itself was independent. So it was an independent streamer guy that was going to adapt to a live movie. One of his, a friend of his, is a video game, which was also, so an independent guy adapting an independent product independently. In other words, he wasn't going to go to a studio. He was going to do it himself. He was going to, you know, he produced it, he directed it, he starred in it, and bringing in some help, some other people. But he had been building up to this for a while because he had been doing like his own content on his own channel. And he evidently had like 38 million people that were partaking in his content. And so he was like, I think I can do this. I think I can bring this at least to the theaters for one weekend. And so his outside prediction was going to be about 500 screens. He thought he might be able to get 500 screens. And but he ran into somebody who said, I can get you more than that. If you can get your people, he said, I will distribute it for you if you can get your streamer or your followers to call their local movie theaters and ask for it. If they ask for it in significant enough numbers, then I can distribute it to those theaters. And so he's like, oh, more than we might be able to get more than 500. Well, what happened was his followers, 38 million of them, engaged followers. Okay, that's the important thing. Engaged followers. He had not asked for them for anything before. He had not like going over and over again, begging them to fund this, fund that. He hadn't had endless amount of merch for them to buy, and had not in any way, shape, or form called on them to do anything for him. And he's like, okay, I built this up. I built up this goodwill. It's time for me to try to use it. And so he announces that, well, we're going to try to get it in as many theaters as we can. And I'm going off of what his own words, okay? And what happened next, it's pretty incredible. Now, I used to watch Disparu a lot, but he kept mouthing off about, his atheism. And nothing I despise worse than a mouthy atheist, okay? You can be an atheist all you want, but, don't denigrate me. And he couldn't stop doing that. So I stopped watching his videos, except for every once in a while, pick and choose when he's on a topic I was interested in. And so he had a very good video on this. You can look him up, Disparu. It'll pop right up. He's the only one with that name. But so I was watching his video, and then the last little bit of it, the movie itself, there's let me at least show you the movie itself. Did I not upload that? Okay, I thought I had the trailer uploaded. All right, evidently not. All right, I'll show you the trailer in a while. But the movie itself is basically a science fiction dystopian. It's very self-contained. They were bragging about being that they broke the record for the most blood used by a production. And the previous record was like 1,500 gallons for the Evil Dead remake. And evidently, they said that they'd done like over 80,000 gallons. So that's a lot of blood. A lot of fake blood. So it's that kind of movie. It's not a gore slash fest, but it's very high, kind of like science fiction. It's suspense. I'll show you when I show you the trailer. This clip right quick.
and to think it was just an overnight success. But it wasn't. Not only just working on his talents from making videos and game reviews to actually making more long-form entertainment, but also building a relationship with his audience so that they're there and they like him and they're willing to help him when the time comes.
Try to make sure that I don't ask my fan base very much, very often, so that when it counts, it really counts. And when I need it, it's a human connection. And that way, it really is organic when it comes to the growth of it.
And this isn't something you can make someone do. You can't get Hollywood to try and guilt trip and nag a load of people about, oh, I can't believe you're so evil, you need to do this. You can't have the normal nagging and just calling people names.
Outside of the confines of heteronormativity, misogyny, and racism.
I said white people call it Westbrook.
People were willing to help Markiplier because they genuinely liked him, and they wanted to help off their own backs voluntarily. Hollywood, the land where everyone's fake, on and off camera, they can't replicate that. They could do it before the internet and social media. Then everyone found out what they're actually like. I'm not sure if the truth set them free or on fire. Then as the movie comes out, the reviews come in, and they weren't shilling for him. They weren't saying this was a perfect movie. And Markiplier knows this is his first step. He's got a long way to go. He's going to get better over time. And he took it in the correct manner with the reviews. They said what they liked about it. They pointed out the flaws. Markiplier didn't attack them. He didn't take it personally. He responded to them as he should. As customers. Maybe you take their advice on board, maybe you don't. But this attitude of, I know there are flaws in my work, I can understand you're telling me about them, and we're going to be changing things in the future to try and improve, is the correct one to have. It's also the one Hollywood has lost.
Really wish that we could get it to you guys, but we need to stand on the right side of history.
Whereas Hollywood, they put things in that they know the audience won't like, but they think they need to see it. You need to be exposed to it. We need to normalize the things. And it doesn't matter whether you want it or not. We're going to do it anyway. We've got money to burn.
She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. I think that show is the best thing Marvel have done since Endgame.
Out of the two attitudes, Markiplier's is the one that actually leads to a better industry in the long term.
Art is not activism. I'm not sure what it is. I just know it's not these things.
A better, more successful industry in the long term.
Man, just thank you guys. Just thank you guys so much, because it's been a really special day.
He even read out on a stream H-Bomber Guy's review where it gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
When you watch a YouTuber movie or a game adaptation in this vein, you keep a lookout for the telltale signs of cringe.
He pointed out flaws in it, but Markiplier got emotional reading it because he felt like the review noticed what he was trying to do with the movie.
Will it feel incomplete without having played the game, or be so unlike it that it might have been, and might as well have been something else? Ironlung has some of those issues, maybe, but I'm genuinely really impressed by how well it threads the needle.
Whether it's entirely successful all of that or not.
So this rating is very fair. There's good and bad. I don't want to steal all of it because it's like it's written by another YouTuber, and it's a YouTuber that I respect.
The fact that there was a channel there that he watched and liked, got what he wanted from his movie, was emotional to him. It is really wholesome. This kind of thing you don't get from Hollywood, where everything's driven through a PR machine, talking to the corporate media who are deliberately trying to set them up.
At the end of the day, this is a story of representation, and it matters.
Whereas Markiplier turns on his cameras and talks directly to his customers. I enjoyed going through his streams talking about this, specifically because you could tell this was genuine.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I am fine.
As the time went on in the weekend, he got very emotional. Yeah, he was playing it up. He was being the entertainer, as you would expect on a live stream.
I'm almost hesitant to ask this, but I think it might be a big win for independent filmmaking. And it's not to shut out Sam Raimi. It's kind of to shut out Disney for winning like 10 weeks in a row. I think that might be pretty cool. And maybe if that could inspire someone to keep making films.
He was having a lot of fun playing up the, I'm number one. Let's go for the weekend. Let's have a fight.
First off, right now, as you're watching it, guess what? We're still the #1 movie in America. And but not by much.
Which in itself is good marketing that, again, Hollywood can't do. But then, as you saw, he eventually lost the weekend. Although, as I film this, we've got new information, and I never mentioned Monday.
#1 again, baby!
Okay. That illustrated perfectly one of the points that I wanted to make. And that is, I've been saying this for a while. The reason why things like Star Trek, Star Wars, Ghostbusters, things like that worked was because when you had a con or something like that, the people felt like they knew the people who created these things. They felt like they knew the actors. They felt like they knew, the producers, the directors, even if they didn't, they felt like they were at least not despised. They felt that they were respected at least. And that when things were presented to them, it was presented with the attitude, we hope you like it. We made this for you. We hope you like it. And then I think George was kind of like one of the first people that I saw. Maybe it's because of his ego or whatever, but he was one of the first people I saw kind of like badmouth the fans. And it was because of the prequel series, the prequel trilogy, which, by the way, has aged very well. He should be thankful for the sequel trilogy because the prequel trilogy has suddenly been reevaluated. Okay. But he was one of the first massive people that I saw, and I felt like he was saying, well, I made what I wanted to make, and if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. Screw all of you, and you felt that attitude from him, and he actually came out and said it multiple interviews, and it was kind of like, George, what are you doing? Well, I'm gonna have to take a wrench to that something. But George was one of the first like creators or creatives that kind of like got mouthy about things with the fans. And then Ghostbusters 2016 happened. Okay. Now George was kind of like, I did the best I could, if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. But Ghostbusters 2016, that was a different attitude. That was a turning point because they made a bad product. And they knew it was a bad product. And their solution was, because we made this bad product with the proper morals, which we got all women Ghostbuster team. It doesn't matter that it's bad. It doesn't matter the pacing issues. It doesn't matter the fact that they ad-libbed everything, and there's a lot of awkward dialogue, and just so much dialogue, guys. Oh my gosh. And that scenes that would have taken the original Ghostbusters about 2 minutes were stretched out to 10 or 12 minutes. And the fact that it had more plot holes in it than Swiss cheese has holes. But what mattered was the director is gay, and the women, the primary cast is women. The rest of that doesn't matter. If you don't like it, then you're racist because of the one black lady. She's calling everybody racist. Are you misogynist because the rest of the cast being female? Or you're homophobic because the director happens to be gay. And the whole rest of it's kind of gay coded, I guess. But basically, the whole thing was separation between us and you. And it was the difference between inviting people in warmly, come to my house, have a seat, let me feed you, let me entertain you, you're a guest at my house. But 2016's Ghostbusters is basically like, you better come in and you better sit down, you better shut up, and you better applaud at the end, or we'll know something about you. And suddenly that was the norm in the industry. And you got to where they thought that they could for not liking stuff. They thought they had a cheat code to where they no longer had to provide quality. They could just basically throw out product, and you were going to get excited for next product because they had this, and this inside the product, i.e., you cannot reject it, otherwise you're something morally wrong with you. And this has been well tread upon. Okay, now basically that was their attitude towards the existing fan base. Why? Because they were like, we can insult these existing fan base, we can drive them off, because we have this whole other fan base that's going to come in and take their place. This fan base, this modern audience that we're going to cater to, and we're going to design everything to please this modern audience that we see on Twitter and Blue Sky and wherever else they look, TikTok, Instagram, all of the, not Facebook. Nobody cares about Facebook. But they look at all, they're like, okay, there's this whole massive group of people on these that will show up as long as we please them. And we please them by DEI, CRT, and ESG is giving us the funds that we can ignore this other audience's, lack of money until this modern audience shows up. And they thought they could run out the clock. Well, the clock struck zero. And the margin calls came in. And they bet the farm. They went all in. And the river was a bust. For all you Texas Hold'em fans, that final cards came in and they had a busted flush. Why? Because they were bluffing. They didn't know they were bluffing, but they were bluffing. Truth is, those cards were never coming. Those cards didn't exist. So, what does it matter? Well, meanwhile, while Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, all these other people were basically shoving away fans, turning away fans, Marvel and DC throwing away their fan base. Streamers rose up. And the streamers are like, man, this stuff sucks. Don't you think this sucks? And we're like, yes, it sucks. It does suck. It sucks so bad. Why does it suck? And the streamers kind of like, well, this is why I think it sucks. And you're like, that's why I think it sucks too. Holy cow, I'm not alone. There's other people here that agree with me that this stuff sucks. Wow. So they tell me that I'm a part of this dying, group of people who we no longer think are valid and we're ignoring. I'm actually, there's more of us, and then we started finding each other out here on the internet and the streaming platforms. We started discovering one another. And hey, did you see that race swap? Yeah, I saw that race swap. Why is Snow White Snow Brown? You saw that too? Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, why is that? See, Snow White, it's pretty clear that's her name, you know. And it's like, well, you're not gonna call me a racist? No, you're not racist. It's just stupid. Yes, exactly, exactly. It's stupid. Thank you. And we got this over and over again where we're like, you know, I don't know that, you know, I don't know if that character needs to be gay. Instead of, hey, you're homophobic. No, the other guy's like, they've never been gay. They've never been gay once in the whole entire comic book run. They used to be a man whore. They used to hit on every chick that walked by with two legs on, you know, and some that didn't have two legs. Some he hit on aliens too. Talk about Iceman. And suddenly it's like, oh, I thought you knew you were gay. And then next thing you know, he's like, hey. And we're all like, I liked Iceman. Iceman was one of my favorite characters. What did you do to Bobby Drake? And they're like, you're a homophobe. But then I look around and the YouTube guys are like, no, it's stupid. It's completely stupid. There's no way. There's no way that works. I'm not going to buy that. Are you going to buy that? I'm not going to buy that. And so the comic book went, whew. And then with her over here going mystified, wait a second. Didn't we terrify people by calling them homophobes so that they'll buy this? Well, why aren't they buying this? And then about, I don't know, about 5-6 years ago, right before the 2020 event happened, they started like saying, wait a second, why is the numbers falling off a cliff? You know, why did we not crack 1 billion? Why did we why are we suddenly not even bringing in 100 million? You know, wait a second, where's all this money going? And then, oh, it's these guys online that are bad mouthing it and convincing people that it's bad. So let's attack the guys online. Because they're talking people into thinking this stuff is bad. And it never seemed to occur to them, oh, I don't know, maybe it is bad. Maybe it's bad. Maybe it's not popular. You know? maybe they're right. No, they can't be right. Why? Because they're the hoi polloi, they're the bourgeoisie, they're the ordinary people. Ew. I mean, we saw that attitude on the Grammys the other night. You know, can't be illegal on stolen land. Yeah, okay, princess, and your $14 million mansion on the Tacova tribe, I think it was. You know, you're on their land. You stole it. But anyway, the thing about it is that elitism, that distance that they didn't used to have. You know, before they started calling people names, before they started disdaining everybody that didn't have the same perspective as they do. You know, the same indoctrination, the same point of view given to them by white liberal professors. And so they're like, you know, if they were to say for 1 second, maybe they have a point, then the rest of it falls down. It's a house of cards. So what happened? Why is Ironlung significant? It's like Disparu said, because what they threw away, the trash they thought was trash, became the streamer's treasure. What they disdained and threw away as trash, the streamers put on their mantelpiece and said, this our most resource. And suddenly you went from, oh, if you don't like this, there's something wrong with you, to being told, oh, you're absolutely right. That sucks. And what do you think about it? I want to hear what you think about it, because your opinion matters. That's powerful. To be seen, to be heard, to be valued. See, Hollywood used to understand that about fandoms. They used to understand that these fandoms were here because they wanted to be seen, they wanted to be heard, they wanted to be valued. You know, people like William Shatner still understand that. That's why he's the Shatner, you know. That's why people still love that guy. Even though Hollywood's kind of like, ew, left him off a poster. Left him off a poster of the the captains of Star Trek. They had a poster of the captains of Star Trek, and they left Captain Kirk off of the poster. That happened. Man, anyway. But the thing that they don't understand is that people want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be valued. Markiplier gets it. Let me play the second part.
Two-time champion! That's what I'm talking about! That's what I'm talking about, baby!
This story really ends up on a high note, and he was very excited about it. I feel like I have to repeat that this isn't serious. He's clearly playing up something here on the stream.
No, we didn't win. I'm not saying we won. I'm not saying we won Sunday, but we won Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday. They got Sunday. That's the scoreboard. It was all joke. It's all joke.
Seeing the reaction it has for it, it makes me want to root for the movie. You want it to be a success, and it is. But every single day seems to make it more of a success. As now, it's not going to be in the cinemas one weekend. It did so well, it's got an extension.
It's getting extended! We got another weekend! The theaters are... The vast majority of the theaters that it was in this weekend are still going to show it next weekend.
And more than just getting another weekend, it's now going into more countries. And he's even getting ready for home releases. Not just renting it online, but actually...
a home release with DVD and Blu-ray. That is all being worked, but we're still doing it independently. From start to finish, this project will be independent the whole way through. And I think that's pretty cool.
If you wanted a feel-good story about Hollywood, for once, I don't think you're going to get a better one than this.
However you want to call it. Like, sure, they were number one for like 4 hours. We were number one for like 90 hours throughout the weekend. I'll let you decide who won the weekend.
It feels a little wrong to say that this would be a little guy of an indie studio winning against Hollywood, but it is inside Hollywood. This guy may have tons of followers, but Hollywood is a big industry, and he was definitely a small fish in that pond. And yes, he had the money and the audience to pull this off, but you do kind of need to. It looks like to get attention, to get into a significant number of theatres, you do have to be a certain size and popularity. That's just a quality level you have to reach, unless you come from inside the industry, in which case, every door's open for you. But I don't see this as a story about that. For me, it's more about his attitude, the relationship with the audience, and how it is the polar opposite of Hollywood.
I've smiled more in the past weekend than I have in the past... Well, there was a couple days there where I could say that, not there, but it's been a long time. What I was saying, I already said that. You got to look at the context clues. Of course, my wedding. I'm playing with you.
I do think that cinemas that don't offer a sort of a unique experience like IMAX are going to struggle, as the technology and the quality of it that you can get in your own home advances and improves all the time. But more than that, what has harmed the cinema is the quality of the movies, the attitude of Hollywood. And I think that the attitude that Markiplier has had through this is a solution to that. I think it's a way forward. I think the fact that he's had to deal with an audience for so long has taught him not only the importance of it and treating them correctly.
I'm proud of what I made. This isn't the best I can do. I got years before I'm going to show you the best that I can do, because every single project that I'm doing is going to be a stepping stone to getting better. Finally, I can feel like I have a foothold to start climbing again.
But because he values that, it stops him putting stuff in it that they don't want. He's permanently aware of who he's making the movie for, because he's talking to them on live streams. He's not in the same uniform bubble that Hollywood is, which your normal guy on the street can't relate to at all, and in fact, generally despises and is repulsed by. I'm not the kind of person that generally roots for the underdog just because they're an underdog, because they might be in the weaker position, because they deserve to be. But the more I researched this, watched Markiplier's live stream, saw his reactions, his genuine reactions, the more I rooted for Markiplier. And so I hope Ironlung does very well. Or rather, better than the very well that it already has done. And I hope that, although Hollywood can't replicate this, and it would be funny if they try, I do hope they learn from this. I'm not going to hold my breath, because I don't think they will take any of this authentically. I think it'll be seen cynically. They won't see Markiplier's success and look, how can we replicate that? It's, how can we exploit that? How can we do it the cheap, easy way without having to earn it, like Markiplier has? But in an ever-moving, evolving, and shrinking industry, that probably just provides Markiplier with even more opportunity. One which I look forward to following. But for now, that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe, more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, see, that's Disparu, by the way. If you want to look up that video, it's right on his channel, Disparu. I don't agree with a lot of his content, but or a lot of his side comments, but I usually agree with his assessments. But anyway, but he's got a point there. You see, Hollywood is going to take the wrong message from this. Okay, see what they're thinking of, the way they're looking at it is, so how did he get the pores? How did he get the unwashed masses to come and see this? Because we saw this before when Hollywood had put out Indiana Jones 5 in the theaters, and over Memorial Day holiday, I think it was. That was 4th of July, over 4th of July. And then Sound of Freedom comes out by Angel Studios. And suddenly Sound of Freedom takes the box office. Completely organic, completely just by word of mouth. They put trailers out. They did very little marketing, very little advertisement, nowhere near what a major studio would do. And yet people are like, oh, I love Jim Caviezel. The subject matter. I want to watch this. I want to see this. And plus the fact that Disney shelved it for 5 years. 5 years. Anyway, when you see what just came out, you're like, oh, no wonder they didn't want a lot of people paying attention to that movie. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But what happened was, it was organic. And what did Hollywood try to do? They tried to fake that. They tried to these marketing campaigns that were aimed at the poor people, the ordinaries, the people that aren't in New York, are not enlightened enough to be in New York or LA. These people in the scrub brush, the rural area people, the people who are clinging to their Bibles and their guns, like a certain former president said. They're like those people. How do we appeal to them without agreeing with their disgusting points of view? See, Markiplier says, thank you. You made this possible. I owe you. I'm going to continue to make better and better stuff as I go with your help. Tell me, give me feedback. Let me know what needs to be fixed, and I'll get better as we go. Because he's like, I value you. I value your opinion. I value your word. You are smarter. The wisdom of the crowd is more important than the enclave bubble that I live my life in. This is, I can go to a awards show and talk about how deportation's racism, how some way, shape, or form. And meanwhile, the rest of the country is like, get them out. And so those people They're like, well, I know better because I'm in LA or I'm in New York. I'm at the extreme coast, and but you're just like screwing your first cousin and spitting out babies and getting inbred and and ew. That's what they think. They say it all the time. They say it absolutely all the time. And then those people, so when those people see something organic happen like Ironlung, there's no way they're going to understand what that means. There's no way they're going to understand why it's significant. There's no way they're going to understand why they need to pay attention. There's no way to understand that there's more of us than there will ever be of them. Mainly because they're not having kids. Well, they're not letting the kids live that they do have. Let's just say that. But anyway, so their solution is clamp down on the ability for people to do this, so we can have a market. We can corner the market. Close off these avenues so this doesn't happen again. But then you got somebody like Oliver Anthony on the music side and Tom McDonald, who slipped through and goes straight to the people, and something organic happens and they take off, and they don't make the mistake of signing their names to something that's going to make them beholden to somebody, so that can reel them back in, can change their content and change who that they interact with and the way they interact. See, most of Hollywood you see is filtered through these PR companies, billion-dollar PR companies. Everything you see is usually vetted by one of these PR companies, which are full of the kind of people who hate your guts. So Hollywood cannot course correct. Why? Because they think the problem is not the direction they're going. They think the problem is the road. We are the conveyance. We are how they get to profitability. And profitability allows them to continue making their stuff. If it's not profitable, they cannot continue making it. So rather than say, well, let's adjust our trajectory, get back on the road, they're like, well, we're just going to plow through the wilderness and make our own road and ignore the fact that there's one that's already paved. And oh, by the way, we don't have four-wheel drive or a compass or know where we're going. There's a paved road, a well-established road that has been the conveyance of movies and television and bands, music, all art. That's a well-traveled road. It's the road of pleasing the fans. The fans will cheer you on this road. The fans will support you on this road. The fans will prop you up, give you strength, encourage you on this road. But because Hollywood has said, we don't like that road, we're going to make our own, because we have this ESG money that's going to let us ignore this road, we're going to drive off-road through the wilderness. And now the ESGs run out. And there they are. and hating anybody that can show their way back. And so their idea is, how do we send up a flare? How do we entice those people to come to us, to leave the well-traveled road and hike through the wilderness over to our point of view? How do we pull them away over here where we decided that we needed to go? Because they're stupid and they're ignorant and they're easily manipulated. So how do we encourage them to leave the thing that they love and come and support the thing that they don't, just simply because we call them a bunch of idiots and we call them names and we shame them? I don't think they're going to be able to do that, because we're all over it. You can't shame us anymore. You shamed us so much that we got immune. So anybody says I'm Snow White's a Latina, I'm like, you're a Snow White's a Latina. Have fun with that. Well, wait, you got to support her, because if you're not, you're racist. I don't have to support her. She's a bitchy little princess that is annoying as crap. I'm not going to support her, even if she is another race. I don't care. The person is detestable and needs to get a grip and needs to live a little bit in the real world. I'm not going to support her. Well, it doesn't matter. It matters to me. I'm not going to support somebody like that. I will give my support to somebody like Markiplier, who says, I'm doing this, dude. I'm doing this for you guys. I'm shelling out $3 million of my own money. I might not make it back, but I want to do this because this is my friend's game, and I want to do an adaptation of it, and I want to do it for you. And if I can't, and I'm going to try to get it to you the best way possible. And then when it succeeds, he says, thank you. It's succeeding because of you. And I'll get better. Don't worry, I'll get better with your help. You see the difference? Hollywood doesn't. What you saw the other night, that disgusting display, they haven't learned a thing. They're still not learning a thing. They're still off in the woods. They're still on that road that they tried to plow for themselves through the wilderness. They're still over there without a way to go forward, not knowing where they are, but they're still catcalling us on the main road, telling us how disgusting we are, that we didn't go with them. So I don't think they're going to find their way back. What Mark's going, what Ironlung represents, that's the road. That's the road forward. That is how you get there. They've abandoned the road. It's wide open. If you can make something good, you can get enough eyes on it, you can succeed. It's wide open. Here's the trailer I was promising earlier.
I see that question in your eyes. For what purpose do we remain alone in the dark?
Beginning the descent. Cruising depth in roughly 2 minutes. Stand by.
I ask myself that very same question.
I'm seeing some voltage irregularities on the instruments, so keep an eye out for sparks or flames or anything like that.
Why would there be flames? You did test this thing, right?
This is the test. Closing porthole shielding.
Where's the reason for this quiet rapture? Too few to rebuild, too many to feed.
You're the first one down. All we have are surface scans, that's why you're there. Well, one of the reasons.
I disagree. This is important. Food, air. We need this, not just the seal. All of us. We need this.
There aren't enough of us left to be throwing lives away, but there is too much at stake not to take calculated risks. Ian doesn't understand that. You don't understand that!
I just want to live. Is that so wrong? Why doesn't anybody else want that?
That's pretty intense. But you can see it. Dan Straczynski, I think his name is, the director. He's done some other stuff I like. But the thing about it is the music is made by somebody who's never scored a movie before. And it's everybody is basically just people that love movies and are enough that they're going to put their reputations and their money where their mouth is and doing their best to try to bring it back. And this is the first. I think Freedom, the Sound of Freedom might have been the first shot. But this is the first truly independent streamer who's organically grown his crew, organically grown his support through streams, live streams, chatting with people. And this is the first one that has that organic connection with his people that has put out a product on this level. And I'm told by people who have seen it that it's not a drop off. You can't tell this is not a major studio release. And with AI coming in, I think Hollywood's done. I think decades later, somebody's going to wander through the wilderness and they're going to find the carcasses of Hollywood down that jungle road that they try to make for themselves, away from all support, away from all fandom, away from all the people who kept their lights on. And they're going to be there in their self-righteousness, dead as a doornail. Still with a disgusted look on their corpse faces. That y'all didn't get with the program. I would say RIP, but I don't wish them well. I hope the death is long. Hope it's excruciating. And I hope they feel every single lost opportunity that they threw away before the lights go out. If that makes me cruel, that makes me cruel. Either way, thank you all for coming. I'll see you later. Follow the White Rabbit.
Bye.